There you go, Chris Mason.
I
There
guess we're
you
live. We're
go.
live.
We are live. Holy wow, that was taking forever to figure that out. Sorry.
Sorry, guys, we're having some technical problems.
Yeah, yeah, sorry about that. Regardless, though, we are here on the heels of the Sooners getting that win against Tennessee. Good old Rocky Top, right? There's a bunch of revenge games that's out there. There's a couple that eluded you. You weren't able to get that victory on, but at the same time, you're 7-2. I think that has exceeded a lot of people's expectations. I'm sure Sooners Cowboys will say that we've exceeded his expectations now, but I'm still sure that he's probably for sure going to say that we're still going 8-4. Regardless, though, all is good, all is well with Sooner Nation. Just got to get guys healthy. Again, Chris Mason, we talked about this. There's nothing sweeter. Well, there are a few things sweeter when you're a college athlete, especially winning championships, different things like that. But one of the sweetest feelings you can have as a college athlete and a college coach is going into the bye week on a positive note, on a win. That's huge for everybody. So, with that being said, people, look, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So we're definitely here for the recruiting. So we'll jump right into it. Chris Mason, obviously, because we were delayed a bit. So let's go ahead and get into it. So obviously, you want to talk about uh, well, we got to recruit. I think Shea Rogers. We need to talk about that for sure. I
Oh,
think.
we covered that last week.
Oh, we covered that last week. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we
yeah,
did. Yeah, we
yeah.
did.
It's the recruiting world, and trying to keep up with these Sooners with a heart attack. That is crazy. But it seems like there's still another Penn State connection there, right? No running back target, and then obviously I think everybody wants to know what's up with Pettit up there. The Wisconsin commit. So go ahead.
Yeah, so first off, OU's getting involved with Messiah Mickens. He's from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He's 5'10, 200 pounds. He's a four-star, top 200 running back. His film is excellent. It shows some power, some wiggle, some speed. He has a little bit of he's showing some patience, waiting for the gaps to open up, and he's running over folks and running around folks. So he looks like he would be a significant addition at running back. As you know, on these pods, Chris, I've been talking about the fact that I think OU should grab a second running back in the high school class because of the attrition and some of the losses they're going to take at the running back room. So I think a second high school running back would be a big addition. A Penn State site claimed that Mickens visited midweek last week, but the OU sites didn't report it. So that visit probably didn't happen if based upon the data out there. But just as we before we came on, 247 has a really good regional guy named Brian Doan who covers sort of that mid-Atlantic area, which technically Pennsylvania is sort of in a little bit. Northeast, mid-Atlantic, it's Midwest. It's kind of in the middle there a little bit. But he's a good guy. He's been following recruiting forever. He always has good updates on players in that sort of region. And he says that OU is going to get a visit from Mickens on the LSU game. That Mickens is going to go visit Indiana before that, and then he's going to visit OU for the LSU game. So, presuming that official visit happens, OU should be able to get him right before he makes a decision, which could be big because signing day will be the following week. So that would be a big addition there. I think I'd like to see OU close on this kid. And then Jaden Petit. So OU is just pushing heavily. They're working him. Wisconsin just lost their top linebacker recruit. He decommitted. So maybe that will help push it over the edge a little bit. I think, OU's just trying to rock this back and forth and get Pettit to decommit from Wisconsin and choose OU. My OU sources are pretty confident a flip is coming. It's just taking a little time. So, why is everyone so? Why are the Sooner fans? Why are the Sooner staff so hot on Pettit? So, Chris, through 7 games, He's had 54 receptions, 1,200 yards, and 22 touchdowns. You're muted.
I know you've been talking about his numbers for a while, so I know you're definitely excited about that. If you don't mind, just enlighten us. What? So obviously, go back to the Penn State kid. Let's back up just a little bit,
Sure.
back to him. Obviously, I know we want to focus on Pettit, but what type of player is he? What's the comp that you could put on him as far as what we be getting with him, and then also just kind of remind people of what you think that we can get with Pettit as well.
Comp for the Messiah Mickens kid. It's not anybody that he's different than the kids we've been recruiting lately. I mean, he's maybe a little bit like Javante Barnes out of high school. Power, speed, kind of a thick kid, but just agility and speed and some power from the OU side of things. That's maybe the best comp. He's, like I said, he's 5'10", 5'11", 200 pounds. He's a well-built kid. He's flashing power. He's running through trash. He's got some acceleration to him. He's got some wiggle. So I'll work on a better comp next week because we'll still be talking about him. But that's what I'd say right now. He's a little shorter, but he's not like a short guy. He's not like he's not like he's 5'8", 5'9", 200 in thickness like that. He's got a little more height to him, so he's probably like I said, 5'10", 5'10 and a half, 5'11", 200 pounds. Probably could easily carry 210. You don't want to put too much weight on him because he's, like I said, he's got good speed, good wiggle already, and good power. So also looks pretty good catching the ball out of the backfield. So he's an every down kind of back.
So interesting. So with Pettit, kind of pivoting to him with Pettit, what are you being on with him?
So can I go back in the Wayback Machine a little bit?
Yeah, go back.
Malcolm Kelly, just screens DBs, makes catches and plays all over the field. Big kid, in really good shape. Not necessarily a burner, but just makes all the big plays every time you need them. Does a great job sort of posting up, making the big catch, using his size effectively, and can burn you, and can be the big flanker down the sideline, for a deep pass too, because he's going to be a handful for any DB to take care of. So that's maybe Malcolm Kelly would be kind of the description I would go for.
That's a great comp. That's a great comp in my mind for that kid. Let's
I mean,
see.
he's got game, so he's done really well. He's had a big senior year. I'm just having a hard time seeing him staying with Wisconsin with all the mess around there.
I mean, they must be paying him an ungodly and absurd amount of money, or something's going on up there. I don't think they played this past weekend. Regardless, I just don't know. It seems like that ship is sinking right now with Fickle. Unfortunately, I think everybody thought that Fickle was a home run hire for them. Obviously, we know the job that he was waiting for, but it doesn't seem like that job is going to come open anytime soon, so long as Ryan Day has anything to say about it. But yeah, I mean, here we are. That's kind of where we're at. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as Topher B says, he's getting paid in cheese, cash and cheese. So if you've ever driven from Illinois to Wisconsin, like there's a big House of Cheese warehouse superstore, like as you cross the border. I kid you not. It's not quite the South Carolina, North Carolina border where it's Bob's House of Fireworks, and then it's Bob's House of cigarettes. When you go from South Carolina to North Carolina, it's pretty close though. It's got like a chalet kind of look to it, but it literally is like the House of Cheese when you drive into Wisconsin. I have no idea how they're keeping him, and even if they do double down on him, he's made terrible decisions on what quarterbacks to take. They're falling behind in the Big Ten with all the other teams, having good seasons. It's bad. So, Petit's from Florida. You have to think that OU's can close this and add him to the recruiting class, giving you two guys, I think, in the Rogers kid they just got, and then Petit. I think two kids who would be in our rotation next year, depending upon how things go. So,
OU Rhino says, what's his size, Chris?
he's 6'4", 210 maybe, and
Yeah.
it's a muscled up 210. I mean,
So
he's a big kid.
So you would get him in here and pretty much
Physically,
put
he'd
that
be ready to
steady
go.
effect on him. Yeah, especially if
Yeah,
he was somebody who could come in and be a mid year as well. You could get him in the program. That's exactly what you would want.
yeah.
Um,
His highlights. He's just dominating all over the field. I mean, he's having a big senior year. His junior year film was good,
mhm.
but his senior year film is better. He's just excelling.
Chris Mason, we'll talk. We'll push kind of the some of the coaching carousel stuff to the end. But as far as kind of the next segment that you wanted to go into, I think we can combine those two. So obviously you're talking about new officer in 2027, but I think we should first talk about what have you heard on the recruiting trail as far as kind of what this OU win over Tennessee. What does that mean? How has that affected our recruiting? Has it been for obviously I would say it's been for a good, but just kind of in details. What are the details around that?
So what I would say is that it's for the next 2 weeks. I mean, tomorrow night the playoffs prediction stuff gets out, right? And OU is going to be right in the middle of all that discussion. So if you had lost the Tennessee game, you fall out of that discussion for the next 2 weeks. And you end up seeing a bunch of Brent negativity stuff about him being on the hot seat. Is he the next hot seat coach in the SEC? So you have a lot of that going on if you had lost. Now you've won Tennessee. So you get 2 weeks of nothing but positive press for the Sooners. The coaching staff can finally go back out on the road this week because of the bye week. So they can go to see Mickens in Harrisburg. They can go visit Petit in Florida. They can go. There's a couple of offensive line guys that the OU rival sites are talking about. I'm not going to reveal their names because that's part of their paywall. But there's two guys they're talking about at O-line. Both very interesting prospects to add stuff to it. So Scott, I've been following recruiting since 1997. I had the first OU recruiting website back in the day under my former name of Atlanta Sooner. So I covered everything from Chip Ambrose choosing Tulane instead of OU under John Blake. Covered John Blake recruiting. So OU recruiting is sort of an obsession of mine, and that's how I get all this information and how I keep track of it all. So, but Chris, so OU can go visit the 26 kids. OU can start. You've got more film and more stuff to show 2027 kids. You can work on communication with them. So, Chris, it's 2 weeks of positivity when the OU coaches are on the road trying to close on kids, trying to figure out if they want to offer some new kids in 26 and take advantage of some good evaluations at the end of the year, and keep pushing some kids. Obviously, there's a Florida kids OU's interested in, Desmond Green. What does Davion Gross do with Florida now that Florida's kind of their season's it's winding down? What do the Auburn kids do? There's not too many kids in Auburn's recruiting class I think OU has a real shot at. But Chris, there is one name I think OU should be tracking, and that's a Florida linebacker called Adam Balagun Ali, who used to live in Oklahoma. He's 6'2", 215, 220. He could be the Mike linebacker in the class. He's a 4-star by ESPN in their top 200. He's fallen on the other rankings. I'm not quite sure why. I love his junior film. I think he's a big time potential. The only other guy that I would think you might make a move, trying to kick the tires on, would be Shadarius Tootle, who is a big time linebacker from Georgia. But if he bails on Auburn, it's likely UGA.
Interesting. Interesting.
So Topher, um, obviously I think I know who Topher's talking about, but it's kind of some behind paywall information. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Bill is looking at additional offensive linemen. I think a couple of offensive lineman new offers are going to happen during this bye week.
Yeah, my aunt sent me some film on a kid, Jonas
Yep. Yep.
Moody.
All right. So that's the kid. He's a big kid. He's a big kid out of Indiana, 6'7". He's huge. The rest of his offensive line must be like 5'9".
Yeah,
Because the film I watched, he's huge. He's athletic, pretty physical. He's a little raw, but I
yeah,
think his frame is bigger than. So put up Topher B's comments because I'm going to talk about what he's talking about here. So the fear I think with McMorris was his frame was really lean. I think this other kid from Indiana, he's got a bigger frame. He's got bigger. He just seems to be a little. He just seems, for Chris, for lack of a better, more controversial word, he seems meatier and not quite as thin as McMorris.
no. When I was watching some of the film today, that my uncle sent me his huddle film, what I was saying, I was like, that's a big kid. Only thing that I said, I guess in a negative light on, I was like, it feels like he's just not necessarily confident in his footwork from time to time. So his footwork looks sometimes it just looks like he's taking a couple steps, like he's trying to do his kickbacks or whatever the case may be. And I was like, it's not necessarily fast enough, but I was like, that's something that Beaton Bow can teach Allen.
It's
Right?
coachable. It's
Yeah,
coachable.
it's coachable. But when I was like, nobody's getting around that kid. I don't know necessarily what class he's playing in, but it doesn't really matter. Nobody's necessarily getting around that kid. That's just him being
And
better.
he's really athletic, and he's looking for kids to hit.
Yeah,
He gets a really good person. He gets a really good holding call where he absolutely buries a kid. Um, he's physical. There's a lot of upside there. So I think an offer there would make a lot of sense to me. Josh McCuistion's been looking at a guy down in the Houston area who's probably an interior player.
uh-huh.
That I think would also make a lot of sense for the Sooners because we need high school offensive linemen. We need 4 or 5 guys in this class. The guy I keep waiting to see something break out with, Chris, is Maxwell Robinson from Derby, Kansas,
Okay.
or I guess Darby, depending upon your preferred pronunciation of the town in England. That's named for the town in Kansas. The town in Kansas is named after. So he's 6'4", like 290, 295, very athletic, could play center, guard, or maybe right tackle.
Mhm.
He had some grade issues that kept him out of the class, kept him out from taking visits. I think that situation's resolved. I'd love to see OU bring him in and he's a 4-star. He's been to OU summer camps. Bill knows him as a prospect. I'd like to see OU maybe make a run at him as well, maybe as the 5th offensive lineman, because he can play a number of positions. So that's what I like about that. That's what I like about that kid.
So with this class, here's something that just popped in my head. So I know last week there were a couple of people in the comments who were a little bit down on the fact that our class is, right now probably ranked the number 18th ranked
Yep.
class.
Yep.
I think that this, I remember listening to the Under 40 podcast or and some other people talk about kind of what they're just kind of give their general thoughts about this class. And you've said it as well. And you've alluded to the fact that this is a class that is don't get us wrong. This class is filled with some damn good talent, with some guys that can contribute right away. I think a lot of us are looking at Cruel to potentially be that guy to kind of make it hard on the staff to try to go out and potentially get another DN in a portal or so. But just kind of gotta wait and see what happens there. But regardless, though, there's a bunch of guys in here that yeah, some of them are developmental pieces, but they're also depth pieces that can come in and that can step in and contribute right away. And I think that's something that you're adding on because, I mean, we have a chance to return the majority of our team defensively and offensively next year. I mean, it's just one of those things where I'd rather compliment and then have some kids that the proof is in the pudding, y'all. I mean, look, they are developing at a high chip. Sammy O, hell, Heineke is probably the most prime example. Kobe McKenzie.
I think Taylor Wine's the classic example
Oh yeah, Taylor Wine. I
of
mean,
OU taking a 3-star kid, right?
yeah,
Losing a 4-star top 100 type kid in Vasic,
yeah,
and then pivoting to a guy they evaluate and find from Tennessee who is now, I mean, he should be second, or I mean, at a minimum, I think Taylor Wine should be honorable mention LSEC.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think that's an unrealistic comment at
That's not
all.
an unrealistic comment. I mean, it's just the development and all the rest of that stuff has been there, and you've seen them be able to get guys. I mean, the Kendall Daniels, the Trace Fords, the Marvin Jones Juniors, guys that have all the talent in the world. They just have to put it together, and you've seen them be able to do it long term. Seen them be able to do it in the short term. So I think that you supplement what you're already going to have with your core guys anyways, and you just go and get the best talent that you possibly can, especially with your evaluations, because there's more of these kids are going to pop than not, especially if they're coming in here with a purpose. So
Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm looking at the class, and I've said this several times, I mean, Derek Johnson, the cornerback from California, he's a 3-star. He's underrated.
yeah,
Okay. I think all three of the defensive tackles are badly underrated. Daniel Norman, the big defensive end from Florida, is a 4-star on one service, but the other services haven't picked up. I think he's way underrated. Ja'Cory Smith and Jacob. We just got a verbal from him. Why am I blanking on his last name? Jacob, the Jacob kid from Florida. I'm just blanking. They're big time kids. They're big. They're going to be big time players in OU scheme. I mean, when you look at the way they play linebacker, they're Kip Lewis clones. So you know that they'll just be developed, cook and bake in the OU system, and we'll be going back and why are these guys ranked so low? They're kicking ass at OU. Well, I believe Chris Mason said that when we followed his recruiting podcast, but before back in the fall. So I love Noah Best and Deacon Schmidt at offensive tackle and offensive center or offensive guard. They're really physical. There's a number of. I just think this class is very Mid-South region. You're gonna have to help me with what we're considering the Mid-South and what year we're talking about from that perspective.
speaking of year, I might as well go ahead and segue into the 2027 talk. Topher B saying, I know, for a 2027 kid, Leighton Von Brandt, that's a name to watch.
Yeah, so Topher B, who does a good job following recruiting, I see him on the message boards that I'm reading as well. He is the teammate of Jason Rogers from Delaware. He was also a Penn State commitment. He's an offensive lineman. If you added him to our offensive line class, that would be significant because Von Brandt's highly ranked right now. So if OU could get him on campus, come visit his buddy Rogers in the spring, maybe come to a spring practice, come for a junior day, that could be something that could work in OU's favor as well. So, but from the perspective, so someone was asking, I believe it was, let me scroll back here. Rob was asking about Missouri kids. So, nice segue here is OU just offered a kid called Prince Goldsby from Blue Springs, Missouri. He's 6'4", 210. Nate Dreiling just offered him. Nate sort of has a lot of work, has a lot of connections in that area. His film is excellent. He's got good speed off the edge, but he's also doing an excellent job playing in space. He's got a long, rangy frame. So Chris, this could go any number of ways, really, for him. He could go cheetah. He could be a will linebacker, or OU could maybe even move him to the edge.
What do you think is his? Where do you project him to be?
Will linebacker
Mm.
with a guy with a will who could seriously blitz off the edge and with the zone blitz stuff that Brent loves to do, he could be a real threat to drop off in coverage, but also fly off the edge and cause chaos.
Okay.
I mean, he looks really good. He's picking up offers already. OU offered him, and he's already got 3 other offers since then.
It seems to me, and this is something I know my uncle's been talking about since, since this summer, since this past, I guess the winter months or early in 2025. But this 2027 class is shaping up to be one of the better classes that, and don't get me wrong, BV and company have had some really good classes, but this seems like this could be potentially be the one for sure. That's like top 5, no doubt.
If OU finishes this year strong on the field,
Uh-huh.
10-2, 9-3 type season, regardless of where, if they get into the playoffs, don't get in the playoffs. At 9-3, at 10-2, they're getting into the playoffs. That's what most analysts are saying, and most podcasts are saying. 9-3, depending upon how things shake out, it will at least be a competition. We'll at least have some noise about it that folks will be saying, well, you should have been in the playoffs. Oh, you should have been in the playoffs. And that'll play in recruiting as well in the offseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if OU hits either of those numbers, yes, with the kids they're involved with, the kids that they're highly recruiting, the really good offers in-state, and the in-state kids that they want to get, yeah, OU could be back in that top 10, top 5 class territory.
Boomer 129. Hey, look, we'll get to your questions. I trust. We'll talk about some of that towards the end. Right now, let's keep it on the recruiting, because I think 9-3 OU, they make the conversation and they get kids going. I mean, they're getting kids right now. We talked about these past couple of podcasts that, hey, you're hitting on all 3. You're hitting on all cylinders. You're recruiting in all 3 classes right now.
Yep.
26, 27, and 28. You're still recruiting 26. You know that they're going to do that. You're still recruiting 27, and you're recruiting the hell out of 27 right now is what it looks like. And then 28, obviously, Chris Mason has talked about the 28 class here and there. But yeah, Chris Mason, obviously, I think we should just kind of go and segue into this right here. So
I got one more offer.
Go ahead.
So Samuel Nelson, Matthew Nelson's younger brother from Arkansas, got offered. He's 6'4", 225, 230.
Okay.
He's a little stockier, maybe not quite as lean, and as just, his brother's like 6'5", 6'6". Sam's probably 6'3", 6'4". He's doing a great job with his junior film. He had an excellent showing at the OU summer camp, so OU's offered him as well. So that's going to be interesting to see, because I'm big on Matthew Nelson being that's a Nagy evaluation that's going to pay off for OU. It may take a year or two, but it's going to pay off big time for the Sooners. That kid's frame, burst, athleticism is just sort of off the charts. So they've offered his younger brother, so that could be a 2-for-1 deal where OU has an additional defensive end. That kid probably could be 6'4", 245, 250, probably easily. Like I said, he's got a big frame that will fill out.
Yeah.
So I know OU's building a little bit of a footprint in Arkansas.
Yes.
I mean, it's
a digital print and a physical print.
I mean, And once O'Marion Robinson and some of those kids who start being stars, it's only going to help.
So just coming over here, Thunder OU Sooner. He says there's going to be a lot of great recruiting for transfer portal. So pretty much that segues into where I wanted to kind of go. Just kind of another topic, just adding in here. So coaching carousel, man. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. This is going to. So let's unpack this just for a second, Chris Mason.
Sure.
You have you have LSU, you have Florida, you have Penn State, you have Auburn, Arkansas, Oklahoma State. You have a lot of schools out there
And we're not
that
done.
are.
We're not done yet.
We're not done yet, but you have a lot of big time schools
I mean,
that are open right now to have
FSU.
jobs. Hold on. You have a lot of jobs right now that are being vacated. On
Yep.
the flip side of that, you're going to have a bunch of smaller jobs that are going to get vacated, right?
Yes.
So people are going to be rating this is this, and then on top of that, you only have that one window for the portal. So I mean, this is going to be every man for himself, because you have to make sure that you hit on all evaluations, because you really only get one good shot at this. Because they're moving to just is my understanding right? They're just moving to one portal
Yeah.
instead of
There won't be a spring portal.
there won't be a spring portal. So I
Nope.
mean, you got to be working. You got to be working those agents and all the rest of that stuff as it is now, because it is about to be mayhem. I mean, just crazy, especially on a transfer portal. But with that being said, obviously you could talk in a general sense, but if you could maybe even just allude to something like, do you feel that OU will be fine in the portal, and this year they could pretty much go and get a lot of kids, kind of whoever they want, right?
Well, I don't think they should get a lot of kids,
Uh huh.
so, because I think really on defense, our two deep and our young guys and our process is working. So on defense, we need to retain kids, right? We need to retain that two deep depth. We need to retain kids and make sure that we're keeping the guys happy that need to be happy, but we're also that we're emphasizing we're losing some kids. We need to retain kids and develop kids, and our development process on defense just seems to be working.
Uh huh.
Okay, I mean, if you can't point right now to a spot where it's not working, really, from a development standpoint. So we need to retain those kids. We're going to lose some. We got too much depth, so we're going to lose. We're going to lose 3 or 4 kids on defense. I won't go names because that's unfair to kids, but we're just going to lose 3 or 4 kids on defense. We just need to make sure there are hits that we can absorb. Offensively, the Foji move at tackle helps OU greatly with the portal.
Hmm.
Because if OU doesn't have to be out there shopping for an elite offensive tackle, that means that OU can save some money and redirect it towards James Thrice's comment. I think is right on target.
Yeah. Let's read
Retain
it real quick.
retain that money. So he says that we should be focused on retaining, even with Batir. He says grab a wide receiver and a tight end and an offensive tackle. But otherwise, we're good with the guys, with good aside from the guys leaving, probably processed out. Where I would argue with him is it needs to be an offensive guard,
Yeah.
an elite offensive guard, which will be cheaper than a tackle, and redirect as much of that money as possible to getting the elite wide receiver and or the elite tight end you can get. If you only can get an elite guy at one of those positions, grab the elite guy.
I think you could potentially go to a small school with knowing Nagy's evaluation. I think you could go and get a swing tackle. I think you can go get another kid as a tackle, probably from a smaller school, if you feel good about Foje and Fasusi going forward. But yeah, guard, tight end, wide receiver, you got to go get another playmaker. I think that's one
You
thing.
need one elite play. I mean, if it's a
I
tight end,
and
get
don't
him.
get me wrong, I still have high hopes. I still have super high hopes for Giovanni Gibson. I just think that coming back from that injury just hasn't been the same. But at the same time, he's still out there, and I know that good things are coming from him. I know that with Satania, you're going to probably have to give him a little bit more money, but I think that you're able to negotiate with him and talk to him and say, "Hey, look." Um,
You're out one guy. You're number one.
Not only are you that, but yeah, you could chance it and go take the money somewhere else, but you've already tried that and you didn't have the role that you have here. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I think that that's a conversation you have, but you got to go and get somebody that could be your true number one, right? Somebody who can threaten that, because I think you're going to get help in this recruiting cycle. But I also think you got guys on campus. But again, there's going to be some hard and tough decisions that have to be made. But again, wide receiver, tight end, and tackle. But
Guard.
on
I would say guard. If you can find a
center too,
tackle,
you got to go get a backup center.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, probably too. So and it's hard to find guys that are good,
yeah,
but are really do. I mean, your unc mentioned we need a defensive end. So
yeah.
now the question about that is, you've got Wine, PJ, Okoye, Gilmore, Nixon, and then Krul probably as your five. So where's a defensive end playing that's good enough to come in and play?
My thing is that, and I think I can speak for him on this. If you can find a good enough player, if there's another Marvin Jones Jr., Trace Ford, those type of guys out there, somebody that's not just a glue guy, but a guy that can come out there and contribute instantly. I mean, you kind of got to take a look at it. I mean, at the same time, you're trying to bolster your roster. So if you can go find that, D tackle, I really wouldn't touch that room. But if you can go find somebody to solidify that, if you can go find somebody in the DB room potentially, I mean, I think that you try to add what you can unless you're just confident. Obviously, I know a lot of people, and there's still some doubters out there, but we chose not to get active this past offseason with the DB recruits, with the quarterback room
We did.
especially. We
We did.
trusted our young guys. We said we're good. So decisions got to be made. Decisions definitely got to be made. Hold
I'm
on
just,
one second.
yeah, I just think it's you know obviously if look, let's just call it what it is. If Cam Coleman comes out and hits the portal, it's going to be a shark feeding frenzy. But Nagy needs to be one of the sharks. Let's
Yeah,
just call it what it is. You add him, and he could be a difference maker, right? All of a
yeah.
sudden, you're like, well, damn. Everyone's like, get Dallas Wilson. I'm like, man, the guy's broken his foot twice in the last 3 months. I don't like foot injuries in wide receivers.
No. See,
But the Thunder OU. So we get back Lenko back. He'll be better next year. You've got Isaiah Dent. You're bringing in Deacon Schmidt. There's this. There's Unk. Come on. Okoye, Wine, and PJ aren't rushing the passer? All right. Okay. All right. We'll agree to disagree on that, but that's okay. Um, yeah, I mean, if you find a guy, but the question's going to be a little bit, Chris, before OU was so deficient in talent, right? That that we needed guys just to have every down guys, right? Well, on the defense, we're not really hitting that. Okay, I mean, guys, Wyatt Gilmore is going to be the next Taylor Wine. If you didn't watch that kid flying off the edge in the reps he's got, that kid's got it. Really, he does. So he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the talk of spring. I wouldn't be surprised me if C.J. Nixon isn't also, getting spring talk up as well, based upon what he is, along with Marcus James at linebacker and some of the Albert kids who we just haven't seen hit it yet, who were all everything in state. So you got to weigh some things. I mean, someone asked me. I was talking with some other folks, and they were mentioning who would you like from Auburn. And Auburn, there was a linebacker we tried to recruit called Elijah Melendez last year. I really want OU to go get him because 1 year in Brent's system, and then we lose a bunch of linebackers. This kid could be our Mike, our future Mike. He's physical. He's a serious guy. So that would
Chuba is
be
probably the one position. I mean, obviously, our Powers is there, um, and I think you have other guys
Well,
who
again, do
can
you,
play.
after what you've seen from Daniels, do you move Trene Washington back to big safety, tell him to drop 20 pounds and be 6'5", 230, and move him back there?
That's the interesting part. I mean, yeah.
I mean, do you do that because you're bringing in Ruxer and Mix, and if you get two tight ends from the portal, you get this big OSU kid who's your blocking tight end, and you go get some, and you find an elite tight end, and you convince them, come here. Um, and the two freshmen come in. They're real tight ends. Trene Washington, was a wide receiver safety at Carl Albert. You tell him to lean up, and you make him your next big cheetah. He's got all the skills to do it from high school. He's got the athleticism and the frame. So maybe that's something make a move to do that. Guys, you're bagging on PJ. Watch out for next year. He's made a massive improvement
What
year over year,
what
guys.
I was going to say Scott Walker is talking about running back. I mean, I think that's something that you're going to have to do because I'm sure that it's the head count that we have here now is probably not going to be that. Probably be
And
one of the
I'm going to say something, and everybody's going to blow up at it, guys. You may not like DeMarco's rotations. You may wonder what's going on at running back, but DeMarco recruits guys. He lands guys and he recruits guys. What happens after they get on campus? I mean, it's something else. I mean, we shouldn't have lost Hollywood Smothers to NC State, but his mom kind of went nuts on us, so he had to go back to North Carolina. DeMarco's got a top 50 running back on the hook for 2028. He's got two elite running backs for 2027. Loving OU. So when you say you want DeMarco gone, just remember he's not Joe John Finley when it comes to recruiting. He gets guys. He really does. What happens after that? I think we can all say we'd like that to be a little more defined, and we'd like to see better stuff coming out of that room. But he recruits. He recruits well.
And don't get me wrong, X Rob and Blaylock have been. X Rob has proven us again. Like he's that guy. I think
And
he's our best back.
And he was hurt. So don't be none of this nonsense of, well, why did it take 8 games to find him? He was hurt.
Blaylock has been really good, and I think you need to add a third to that. Is that the kid that's one of the kids that's coming in from this freshman cycle, the high school cycle, right?
Well, because
Or is
Zephon
is it
Walker
Tatum?
is well, exactly. And DeMarco was talking about Tatum on the coaches show, just saying the guy can't stay healthy. He's working hard. He's rehabbing hard. You know, so no, I'm not saying he's going to be this guy, but I'm just going to remind you guys: Rodney Anderson did jack for 2 years. Then, when healthy as a junior, pretty much had a Heisman type season.
Yeah,
I mean, that 7 game run Rodney Anderson had at the end of 2017, and the freaking Rose Bowl where Riley forgot to keep feeding him the rock, and Rodney did jack before that. He was hurt, banged
well,
up, and hurt.
man, if we would have had him for college year as well, obviously,
Well,
I mean,
if he
don't
would
get me
keep
wrong,
him and
Kennedy and Sermon were just fine, but he was just the best of both worlds with those two.
yeah, so we'll see how it shakes out, but you know we'll see how it shakes out with all the different pieces.
Let's
The UNT guy, everyone's going nuts over the UNT guy for the portal.
yeah,
The his name's Hawkins, I
quarterback.
think.
Yeah.
He's from Oklahoma.
Oh,
Um, they're like, can we go grab him? I'm like, well, let's just see what happens with the portal and see and see what goes on. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go on for the portal. OU needs to retain a whole bunch of guys, and they need to be very. I mean, we need Nagy to get us Macalas and Sendels,
mm.
but not get us Otts, right?
So let's transition into the last topic, people. So Boomer 129, if you're still hanging in there with us, let's get to your let's get to what you want to talk about. So you're talking about 9-3 OU. and you're talking about the playoffs. So, Chris Mason, just you've been keeping us, I guess excuse me, you have been communicating with Jason and I about where OU stands with the playoffs as far as if they finish 9-3, if they were to finish 10-2. So just kind of what are your thoughts? And but first, I would like to know, where do you see the playoff committee ranking OU next tomorrow?
Like 13th, I think.
Yeah, probably
Um,
right behind Texas, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
I think we're going to, until Texas loses again, we're going to be stuck behind them. So
Uh-huh.
we need UGA to do what we didn't do and stick a fork in those guys.
Yeah.
And then A&M can do that too if we need that. But so if OU is 9-3, according to an ESPN predictor tool gizmo thing, OU has a 58% chance to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Very small chance to host a game from that perspective. If they go 10-2, they have a 99% chance to make the playoffs. Okay, and they have a 70% chance to host a first round game. Some people have thrown around some stuff. I think I sent you, was it Josh Pates, that had OU going to Lubbock? And then I saw somebody else's that had OU hosting Notre Dame, which would be just, I mean, that'd be a ratings powerhouse. From that perspective, Scott Walker, you're right. If OU goes 9-3, Texas goes 9-3, that's a problem for OU on some level. Yeah, it is. From that perspective. But so it's if you want to cheer for one team, all of a sudden, if you want to become a fan of one team in college football and cheer for them every week, I would say that team is Pittsburgh. Look at Pitt's remaining schedule. They have a chance to really help the Sooners.
Hold on, let me check this out real quick.
And they've ditched the Holstein kid, and they've switched to some freshman kid. He beat Miami. Sorry, he didn't beat Miami. He beat FSU. And since he's taken over, they're undefeated, and he's playing really, really well.
They have Notre Dame in 2 weeks, or excuse me, not 2 weeks. Next week, next weekend, they're on bye this week. They got Notre Dame at home, Georgia Tech on the road, and then they're at home against Miami.
Yeah, if they run the table there, that helps OU greatly, especially the Notre Dame loss. We need a 9-3 Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame is 9-3. I think they're out unless they get a
Yep.
lot. I guess they get a lot of help.
But if Pitt then beats Miami, then that's then they put another loss on Miami, which makes Notre Dame's resume doesn't look quite as good. If they put another loss, they put a loss on Georgia Tech, which I don't personally want, but then that puts Georgia Tech out of it. The only thing you have to worry about is the only thing you have to worry about is two teams from the Big 12. Like BYU beats Texas Tech this weekend, goes undefeated, and then Tech beats them in a rematch. And what do you do with the one-loss BYU coming out of the Big 12 championship game, which Texas Tech at 10-2 has won?
Yeah, that's an issue. But like I said, and like I
There's a
continue to
lot
say,
of football to
a lot
play.
of football left to go play, man. A lot
There's a
left of
lot
football.
of football. So
People. I will say this right here. I have turned on the film of Alabama. I have not went back and watched um, the Florida State game. I've watched it before, but I'll go back and watch it again at some point. Things I sent to Chris Mason early on, just kind of giving you some keys offensively. Um, Not gonna lie to you, people. Not gonna like hearing this. QB run game. It's got to be, some of it's got to be. You just need a little bit design, But from what I've seen, they struggle with mobile quarterbacks who are able to lead the pocket, who are decisive and go pick up yards. So it's a lot of that the quarterbacks who improv, those are the ones that they do not like. Also, this is a game here where Kanik could eat pretty heavily if they would actually if they get him involved. If Arbuckle decides to design some stuff up for him for whatever reason, they are not good against tight ends. Also, plain and simple, run the football. You can run against Alabama. You can run against Alabama. Defensively, I mean, what's more to be said? Just pressure. You just got to pressure Simpson, and you got to rob the hell out of a lot of stuff. Whenever that he snaps that ball, you that picture is definitely going to change. I mean, it's stuff that we already know. They're not Tennessee explosive, but they are explosive because it's chaotic. It's a lot of crossers, a lot of corner routes, lot of they hide guys underneath, especially those running backs, but they love to come out there in that tight formation. And that tight formation is just a lot of interchanging, and they'll come out in a tight formation. They'll have two wide receivers on one side, and they'll have the running back lined up in the backfield, obviously, and they'll have a tight end on the other side, and the tight end's running a corner route, and here goes the wide receiver running an out route. So you have to watch those tight formations that they like to run. Uh, Watch the LSU game. I'm sure that will be an interesting game. They may win by 40. They may barely win. We've seen bad LSU teams still take them to the brink of, of death almost, So definitely got to watch that game just to get even more film and more insight. But 2:30 kickoff, we're good. We'll have more insight for you, especially next week going in. But I would say those are three things that we have to do offensively to win this game. It'd be nice to get the tight end game going as kind of a safety valve, but if you're able to pick up yards with your feet and make that defense play honest, you should be okay in this game. But just
Well,
run the ball, you know?
Vandy had a lot of success running Pavia and their big back.
Yeah,
They lost that game because of red zone turnovers for the most part.
exactly. Yeah.
And
So
they had a lot of success doing that. They don't have anything close to our defense.
Missouri had a lot of success early on with Bo Prabilla running the ball himself. Um, Hell, South Carolina, that's what kept him in the game a whole bunch. Is that he was just able just to get out. Sellers was able to get out, but Sellers was making timely passes too. Um, they have some mental lapses back there. At times, their secondary can play great football, and they can be very opportunistic, go and take the ball away. But then there's times where they have mental lapses, right? And then there's times where their fronts, their D line is aggressive. For me, I think where most of their blitz, their pressures, and not blitz, that obviously gives it away, but most of their pressure that they get on the quarterback honestly comes from the linebacker core. If the linebacker core is having a good day, usually that means that the D line is eating off a little bit of that. I think, who is it? Is it Overton? It's Overton or somebody. There's like a DN or so that usually gets off the ball pretty well, but you just have to take care of that. Their run game is pretty much non-existent. Jam Miller is good. We know he could be good, but we stopped him last year. Why can't we stop him this year? Um, Ty Simpson is not a statue back there, but at the same time, you can get to him. He can hurt you, but you can get to him. He's just a guy that makes timely plays, and you know they're going to get the ball out of their hands. But again, we got to let this week play out. They got a game. We don't. We're on bye week, so got to get healthy. Got to get RMT back. Got to get Gentry back. Got to get Kobe back. It's time to go and make that run. It's championship November around here in Norman, so we definitely got to do that. But those are just some keys, guys. We've been on here for 53 minutes. You guys know we usually keep these shows 30 minutes, but this has been a pretty damn good show, Chris Mason. Took us a second to get on here, but thank you all for hanging in there with us.
And
For
we'll be
sure.
back. We'll be back next week with another recruiting pod. I'll be
Hmm.
back Wednesday. Sorry, with my recruiting pod. If you don't follow me on YouTube, that's one way to find it, or you can find it on your podcast method of choice. And we'll be back Thursday talking about Bama game and some CFP stuff and everything, how that impacts the Sooners and all that. Well, even though it's a bye week, we'll have our Sooner intel as usual.
Yeah, yeah, and people, please, Sooners Cowboys. I know you're gonna watch this at some point. It's not gonna be the end of the world if they still have us at 14 or 13. We got a lot of football left to play, and we got a big one here at Bama. So I'm rooting for Bama this weekend to go out there and show us everything that they need to show us, and then also get a win so we can make sure that that 2:30 matchup is a prime time type of game, even though it's at 2:30 and it should have been a night game. Regardless, though, people, we are out of here. Like, subscribe, do all those different things. Also, give a hold on one second. Well, can you see it? Uh, Anyways, shout out to our sponsor, Kaizen, as you can see up here in the right hand corner, Kaizen Performance Gym up here in Norman. Go and check it out. Again, that's Kaizen Performance Gym. But until next time, people, we out.